Very cool. I feel privileged to be interviewing Mr. Tony Javier from the home office today. He's typically doing recordings and podcasts in the office, but we're at the home office today. What's going on, man?
Hey, what's up, buddy? Thanks for having me, man.
Sunny San Diego. My pleasure, man. Excited to chat. I think we were supposed to do an interview about 2 years ago and just got delayed a little bit. So I'm happy to have you on and want to jump right into it, man. You have a ton of experience, over 700 transactions, I believe, in your real estate career since 2001. So just a ton of experience, a ton of knowledge. Does some coaching. You're all over the place. I've known about you pretty much since I've been on the national scene with Investor Fuse for the last 5 years or so. So would love to hear in your own words what you're up to now with everything business wise.
Yeah, so started 20 years ago. I was fortunate enough to find real estate when I was in college. Just jumped right on board. I found out you could buy properties with no money down, and just jumped into the business and love it, man. It's yeah, I got lots of things going on now, which are great. You know, real estate investing, the flipping side has provided me, I guess, a good living, but it was really more of a platform to kind of propel me to things that I really enjoy more than just real estate investing. So, doing multiple things now. I've got fix and flip business in Wichita, Kansas. I live here in San Diego, and kind of my team runs that and just kind of oversee that from afar. We've got a rental business, own some co-working space. And then the things that I really love doing are things helping other real estate investors. So I've got three different things that I'm doing right now. One is a virtual real estate mastermind. So we get together some of the best real estate investors, and we mastermind about our businesses, help each other, that kind of thing. That's something that I just love getting on those calls. We do that about 3 times a month, cover different topics. And then started a funding business a couple years ago. So we started doing gap funding for real estate investors. That's something that is a huge need for real estate investors. They can find good deals, they can find first mortgage lenders, but a lot of people struggle with down payment and cash flow. So we provide the cash to help them with the transaction on the front end with the down payment and closing costs. And then the thing that I think I'm most passionate about right now is TV. We've been doing TV for TV commercials to find motivated sellers for 9 years now. It's something that I don't know that I would have a flipping business right now if it weren't for TV. We get most of our leads and deals from TV. It's built a ton of credibility. We're an authority in our market. There's not many people doing it around the US, and that's why I love getting investors on TV now, because it helps them dominate their market. And everything else is just so competitive right now.
Yeah.
Cold calling and texting and direct mail. You can pull a list tomorrow and literally start texting and calling people, and then get mail out within a couple weeks with a lot of different mail houses that automate. So through the ease of being able to do those types of things, and through podcasts and YouTube and just education, it's so saturated, as you know. So that's the thing I spend a lot of my time on right now, is just helping real estate investors get on TV in their market. And pretty much all of our, I don't call them students, I call them clients, because we actually do a lot of the implementation and the ad buying for them. But most of our clients are getting a return on their money within 30 to 60 days. I'll give you 3 examples. Just this last week, someone launched, we're recording this on Friday, had someone text yesterday on Thursday, their ads launched Monday. They got over 20 calls, locked up 3 deals, and already assigned 1 within 3 days.
3 days and three deals in 3 days.
3 deals in 3 days. And then I had their first week they launched, they got 12 leads, 6 appointments, locked up 4 of those contracts in 1 week. And then the other one, I haven't gotten their stats yet, but it was similar to the first guy I mentioned. He got 22 calls his first 3 days. I know he locked up 1, and he was working on a bunch of others, so he may have locked up a couple others by now. But those are the kinds of results we're getting. It's just because the market, most markets don't have anybody on TV, and once you do something different than everybody else is doing, then they kind of pay attention to you more. And we're just getting crazy results. So that's what I'm spending a lot of my time on, is just getting people on TV, helping them find other streams of income. And then a lot of people are taking their texting and cold calling efforts that is a lot of effort. Now their ROI is really good, but when you look at your return on time, TV is just a lot better because we can get them on TV and they just have to answer the calls and do the deals.
Yeah, the cost per deal, cost per lead metrics that come from the telecommunication methods like texting and cold calling are going to be lower in general. But I don't think that people look necessarily like the net cost, like you said, like the return on time or mental exhaustion, or maybe, turnover with employees that are managing all that, VAs, admins, lead managers, everything like that. And I want to definitely focus on TV ads and everything around that for this interview. To give full context kind of on you managing your own business, I would love to hear kind of what your team setup, operation, and day-to-day activities for you personally look like right now, just to kind of give a 360-degree view on you before we dive into TV and why you're so passionate about that, and why it's been so successful for you.
Yeah, so I love TV because the automation aspect. So everything I do has to be automated. I've got 6 businesses that are running, and literally, like, there's a couple of them are newer. The TV thing and the funding. Uh, I've got to have my hands on a little bit more because they're a little bit newer. But pretty much everything I do, I just love to automate. So I've got a key person pretty much in every business. My flipping business, I don't spend much time on at all. I probably spend 2, maybe 3 hours a week on my flipping business. I've got a really good team that runs that. I approve contracts. I approve pricing when the properties go on the market. I look at financials, all the high level stuff from that side of it. The rentals, I've got a property management company. They run that. Co-working space, I've got a community manager there, and she has an assistant. So we meet once a week. We go over numbers. So everything I like to do is automated. So, I probably could just spend a couple hours, few hours a week working and, just call it a day. But, I'm very passionate about real estate, and I just love doing things, doing things that I love. And the new businesses are things that I'm really passionate about, helping other real estate investors. Like I said, I get texts all the time that, deals they're doing from TV, or, someone posting on Facebook that they're thanking me for funding a deal that they made a bunch of money on that they couldn't have done otherwise. So yeah, I'm all about team building. I love, I'm a visionary. I find vision in things that I do, and then I just find really good people to help me implement and push it forward. So that's kind of how I'm set up. Is I have a integrator in every single. If you read the book, Traction, and I think Rocket Fuel talks about it as well. Yeah, visionary versus integrator. So I'm a visionary. I know where I want to be. I know what to do, and I just have to find people that know how to push it forward and organize all the details and make it happen on the backside.
You're at a really high level right now. So people that are not at that level of experience or multiple businesses or as hands off as you are in your day-to-day activity right now, like you said, you're barely involved in the flipping business. What do you think have been like your biggest learning lessons? I don't want to say failures. I'll say like learning lessons, obstacles, and also things that you hit in stride that gave you success, kind of going from 2001 to now. And I know that you may overlap a little bit with what you've already talked about, like the automation, understanding your own psychology, being a visionary, stuff like that.
Yeah, that's a great question. So, I've been in business 20 years now. So the first about 10 years of my business were way different than the second 10. So the first 10 was making a lot of mistakes. It was hiring the wrong people. It was not asking for help. I mean, there were so many big mistakes that I made. And once I figured out that I was making those mistakes, so, 2010, 2011, I had to fire my whole staff for the second time.
Damn.
And I hit like rock bottom mentally at that time, because I was, scaling up my business. I was hiring people and I thought things were going in the right direction. And then someone was stealing from me. I had 2 guys living in my house that were doing work on properties, and they started screwing me on some stuff. And it was a whole slew of things within like a 30-day period where I had to fire my whole staff. And so, at that time, I found someone that had a business where they didn't look at houses. They didn't meet with sellers. They didn't meet with contractors. And I thought I was the best at all of those things. I thought like, man, I can negotiate the best. I know how to get the best deals. I know what walls to rip out on projects, and I know how to push contractors forward. And, so I didn't want to give any of that up. And then I found someone that had all of that, where they gave it all up and they were doing really well. And so I hired them as a coach, and within, 3 to 4 years, I had my business where it was like his, where I didn't have to meet with sellers, buyers, contractors, uh, tenants. I was doing tenant showings at that time and managing my own properties. And now I don't have to do any of that. And I realize that I'm way happier not doing that stuff, because those are details that I don't want to be on the weeds in. I want to be looking at the high level stuff of the business of like, okay, what's our next marketing channel? Okay, what's our next hire? What's our next business? How do we optimize things, rather than, going into properties and trying to save a little bit of money here. And I realized that, I can't remember if I just mentioned this, but uh, everything that I thought that I was the best at, I've got people working in my business that are better than me at what I was doing in those roles. My project manager, who happens to be my sister, she is on time and on budget with almost every single project. I was over budget, not on time because I wasn't organized enough. She's super organized. And so I'd get to the end of the project, I'd be like, why was I 5,000 over budget, and why did it go 2 weeks past? And I just didn't have really good processes and systems down. So when I hired her, she put better systems in place and that kind of thing. So I guess to kind of answer your question, I think the biggest lesson I learned is there are people that can do things way better than you can, whether they're employees or subcontractors, or, someone doing your Facebook ads, that kind of thing. And just finding people that, can do things way better than you, even if you have to pay them more money, is going to get you there way faster. It's going to get you better results, and it'll free up your time and energy to do things that are probably a better use of your time.
As much as I love YouTube for learning random things, skills, anything on a personal side, anything from like nutrition, like tracking macros, learning golf, like anything like that. Obviously real estate. YouTube is huge for our niche of real estate. As amazing as that is and how much you can learn, there's nothing that replaces direct coaching and actually getting the YouTube information or whatever information that you're getting like directly laid out to you. You have somebody that's over your shoulder looking at your action plan. How much do you attribute your coaching that you mentioned kind of towards the beginning of that dialogue there, towards the success and knowing how to do all that stuff that you just went through?
Well, interesting enough, the coach was okay. It's kind of like Roger Bannister in the 4 Minute Mile, right?
Okay.
When he ran the 4 Minute Mile, everyone was like, "Oh my gosh, the 4 Minute Mile is possible!" And then after that, so many people ended up running a 4 Minute Mile. Now there's all kinds. I mean, there's, I don't know, hundreds or thousands of people that have run 4 Minute Mile now. So for me, it was more just knowing that it could happen. And I'm a big person on vision and goals and dream boards and all that kind of stuff. And anything that I've kind of like put my mind to and had a vision of something big, it's happened within a short amount of time. Living in San Diego, living in an ocean view house. I mean, all these things that I put on a dream board. I even put a picture of a family on a board, and within I think a year or 2 years, I ended up meeting my wife at a Tony Robbins seminar. I mean, just it's just all these things, like once it's possible. And I think that's what coaches, part of what coaches unlock is like not only just the knowledge of like how to do it, but just knowing that it's possible, and giving you the confidence knowing that you can do it. Right. Cause like people will come to me and be like, man, I want to flip houses, but I just don't have the money. And then I'll literally have a 5-minute conversation with them about how I bought close to 1,000 houses without any of my own money, most of them without my own money. And they're like, wow, you can do that. And they get excited, and all of a sudden their energy changes, right? Just from one little conversation of like, no, you can do it. And here's, a little bit how. So yeah, you're right. I mean, if you can go on YouTube and find stuff, but when you have someone over your shoulder helping you implement it or implementing it for you, it's just way more powerful.
The belief is absolutely, in my opinion, if not the most important thing, one of the most important things. And belief is an interesting thing where you can kind of hit it. You can hit it from a bunch of different angles to really impress it into your brain and actually, think things are possible. So one of those is like, let's say YouTube / wherever you're sourcing your information on strategy and everything like that. Okay, I'm learning how to do it. That builds a little belief. Then I'm listening to podcasts. I'm hearing Tony, how he's bought almost 1,000 properties, most of those without any money down. I'm seeing he's killing it with TV ads. His clients are killing it with TV ads. Okay, cool. I'm checking another belief system there. Then I look at my own metrics for what I'm doing marketing, which we're going to transition to now. I'm looking at my own marketing. I'm going to break down the numbers. If I want to reverse engineer this and make, X amount of revenue, I need to close X amount of deals for my average cost per deal or spread per deal. It's going to be this marketing. Then when you break it down with numbers, it's like another avenue of belief. So I'm all about, and I absolutely love on a personal note, the vision board of finding the wife and everything like that of Tony Robbins. But that sounds very similar to, how I can see myself, going down the path of life. So I love that. But it's interesting just hitting belief from a few different angles with some of the different stuff that you're mentioning. I want to transition into marketing since, you have 20 years experience plus close to 1,000 properties, most of those without your money down. I'm sure you've done almost anything and everything in marketing. I know TV has been super successful for you. I'm really close with a company here in Baltimore that does really, really well with TV, probably around the same, probably close to a decade. And they have authority, credibility. They're maybe not celebrities, but they're extremely well known in the space. They get Ravens players. I'm in Baltimore City. I didn't mention before we went live. I'm in Baltimore, Maryland. So they've had like Ravens players on the commercial and stuff like that. So I'm assuming, man, you and Patrick Mahomes walking down the streets in Kansas, are people just seeing the quarterback and the real estate investing guy when you go to Kansas?
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't go back to Kansas very often, but when I do, I'll go to the grocery store and, lo and behold, there's usually 1, 2, maybe 3 people that are like, "Oh, you're the real estate guy. You're the TV guy." There's something that I get, right. And so, I've been doing it 9 years and they know me. So, I mean, that's cool. Right. But like, the biggest thing is like, it makes things a lot easier because people treat you differently. It's, contractors treat you differently. They give you more respect. Private money lenders. Private money is so easy in Kansas when someone introduces me to someone and they're like, "Oh, I've seen your commercials." It's like they feel like they already know me, right? So the conversation's way different. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where once you're on TV, they treat you differently, and even with a podcast, like being on video on a podcast, people treat you differently when they see you on video on a podcast. And I think a lot of it has to do with people are. A lot of people don't have the confidence to do it. They're like, "Man, this guy's on TV. He's confident, he's successful." And that's what they want to be. But they're really, a lot of people aren't that way. There's not a lot of people that have the confidence or drive or whatever it is to be on a podcast, to be on TV, to, put themselves out there and have the confidence to do that. So yeah, it's total celebrity factor. And then, when we go out on property visits, people will say, "Hey, we had you and a couple other guys out, and we decided to go with you. These other guys offered a little bit more, but we've seen you on TV, or we know that you guys are credible, so we're going with you." We've also had people call just us because of our TV commercials, where they got 10 postcards of a foreclosure probate campaign. They called us only and said, "Hey, we got all these other postcards. We can recognize your brand and your name. We're going to call you rather than, calling these other guys because we don't know them. So give us an offer. If it's acceptable, we'll go with you guys." And we've gotten a lot of deals that way. And a lot of our clients now are telling us the same thing, that people are, seeing their postcards and things like that, and they're getting a better return. And they're also potentially the top person, if not the only person, that they're calling off of the different marketing channels where they're getting hit on other things. So it's it's just a total trust factor. And people, again, when they see you on TV, feel like that if you're putting your face and your name on TV, that you're credible and you're not, doing some of the stuff that maybe the other real estate investors are doing right on the up and up.
Right. I recently interviewed Dean Rogers, who's out in San Diego, hoping to visit out there soon, play some pickup basketball, maybe try out some vegetarian food with him when I go visit. But he's had success. I know he's recently one of your clients in the last 3-6 months range. And when I was interviewing him, he was having success with the TV commercial as well, which is cool. I want to hear kind of what you're doing, everything marketing wise. And I kind of want to do a little compare and contrast to like the telecommunication methods, like texting and cold calling. And then I want to talk like PPC or paid traffic versus TV ads and things like that. Radio ads are popular in a sense. I feel like those are that may be the most comparable lead gen, radio ads. But we'd love to hear kind of everything you're doing marketing, and then we can kind of compare and contrast everything, since telecommunications is so popular the last couple of years, texting and cold calling.
Yeah, I probably done the broadest range of marketing that anybody's ever done. But I'm sure there's maybe a couple things I haven't done.
Yeah.
We do a little bit of Facebook, we do a little bit of Google still. We kind of do direct mail every once in a while. We'll just kind of, put a direct mail piece out or two and kind of try it again. But the rates of the responses dropped so dramatically that we're not putting a lot of time and energy into it. I've got a co-working space and we got a huge digital billboard that I spent a bunch of money on. And so we've got our stuff on a digital billboard on a major highway.
That's sick.
What's that?
That's cool. I like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, it's super slick. We haven't gotten a lot of business off of it, but I imagine it's really good branding that helps with our TV commercials and some of the other stuff we do, right? And then we've done bandit signs. Those haven't worked great. Every once in a while we'll put a bunch out and we'll get a deal, and but it's not super consistent. Our signs get taken down, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Let's see, what else have we tried? We've tried texting. That was I say a disaster. I mean, we just got so negative feedback from it in our area that we just stopped it. We text agents still a little bit, but there's only so many agents to text, and you can only text them so many times. So, we've gotten some deals from that. We tried cold calling, same thing. People just didn't like us cold calling them. And I think cold calling and texting is somewhat area specific. Like we're in a pretty small demographic. So like there's only so many people that we can hit, and they're probably being hit by a bunch of other people, and they're getting upset that they're getting hit by a lot of people. So yeah, we didn't have really good feedback there. So like I said, we get most of our deals off TV. I just, the deals that we have popped big numbers on are the ones from TV. So like in Wichita, Kansas, our average price point is about 150. Our average deal
ARV.
ARV, yep.
Okay.
And then our average profit has gone up. It was about 20,000. It's probably closer to 30 now, maybe 35. But we pop a lot of $50,000 to $100,000 profit deals off of TV. In fact, we just got one signed the other day. We bought for $230 off TV. Going to put 50 into it and sell it for 400. So those are all the marketing channels we've tried. But again, like if I could do TV and only TV, and I actually thought about doing that, but we still get a deal every once in a while off Facebook and Google and stuff. So those are fairly automated too, but they're not super scalable because we can only, like I even asked my Google guy, I'm like, how much money can we spend maximum? He's like, I think we can only spend 1,500. There's just not enough not enough searches, not enough clicks, not enough. So we're spending $1,500 a month, and we get probably 2 deals a year off of Google. It's not anything that we can scale, but TV. Last year I only spent a few hours on it, and let's see, we did 11.2x return on our money. And
that's my next question.
Yeah, and I think we did 75% of our deals off TV. I actually did Dean is one of our clients. He's in 2 markets. He's doing really well with it. I think he's doing probably close to 10x on his spend.
It's insane.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I just did a podcast interview on Wholesaling Inc. with one of our clients as well. And a brand new investor, very competitive, expensive market. And his first 2 months, he did over 100 grand from TV. Again, brand new investor, no buyers list. He had to just build it from scratch, basically just because he had deals he had to dispo. And he told me, he said, I was doing texting, cold calling, and all of that. He goes, I spend 95% of my time dealing with the leads from all these other things that need 10 to 20 touch points to get them to sell. Whereas he spends 5% of his time on TV. It's producing most of his revenue. So that's what I love, man. I just love this automation stuff. The masterminds, I preach and teach automation. And then with the TV, it's like, I just love giving people that to put into their business where they can be a celebrity in their market, dominate their market, make it a lot easier, and just, put something in their arsenal that I've had for 9 years that I've been very fortunate to have. And I just love giving that to other people.
As the title of the show, the 80/20 Real Estate Investing Show, or the 80/20 Real Estate Show, there's a lot of 80/20 levers there in the TV ads. Even the lead, I'm kind of thinking of like the psychology of the lead or mindset of the lead that's calling you off a TV commercial. And you kind of hit on it a little bit with the telecommunications, the texting and cold calling. Those people, even if you're getting a hold of them, they're, the time to get a contract with them is probably going to be longer than the TV. It sounded like you were going through and saying like, you're going to spend less. It's an 80-20 lever in a sense that you're going to spend less time having to like follow up with that person and stuff. Like they're going to be ready to sell in general, probably in shorter time. You're making more money off it. The 11.2x return is absolutely crazy. That's amazing that you're having that. But yeah, huge 80-20 levers from what I'm hearing in the TV, ad space. One of the things I was going to ask in general is like just kind of main bullet point benefits of TV, but you pretty much covered a lot of those already, just going through it with you and your clients.
Yeah. I have like 10 points that I could go through, and I've got 5 that I typically do for a podcast. So
Sure.
I think I've touched on most of those, but I'll go through those real quick. So, the credibility factor, we kind of went over the Patrick Mahomes factor, right?
Yeah.
The second thing is little to no competition. I mean, anytime that I talk to someone about TV, I'm like, how many people are on TV in your area? And most of the time it's none that they know of. And if there is anybody, it's like 1, maybe 2 other investors, right?
Yeah, and that doesn't necessarily like kill it. Like I almost welcome that a little bit because I'm trying to think of some other similar business to like a wholesaling or like the service you're offering is like, buying discount properties for, distressed situations where you're able to get them closed quickly. I think psychologically it almost builds a little bit more credibility if you see multiple people doing it. Not a ton, like with cold calling and texting where they might be talking to, 7, 10 plus other wholesalers. But they see one or two other people, they're like, okay, like this is actually a legit thing. Like people have TV ads and these are credible people and they buy properties and help people out.
That's why car lots go next to each other. It's like they want that psychological, like here's where you go to buy a car kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? And TV's kind of the same way, where if you have, like you said, other people that are, then they're getting hit with that same message too, and it's amplifying your efforts, right? So yeah, I totally agree with that. And just because they're on TV doesn't mean they're doing well. I've actually had people buy into our program that said, I'm not doing that well with TV. I heard about your program. I tried it myself. I'd like for you to come in and help me. And then I look at their TV ad and I'm like, okay, your domain's way too long. You don't have a vanity number. You need to have like a vanity number. Like there's just a formula that we've done over 9 years that we plugged into other markets that we just have so much data, and we know what ad times to buy, right? I mean, we know like what shows work, what don't. We've tried the expensive stuff. We tried the cheap stuff. Luckily, the cheap stuff works. That's what our demographic is luckily watching. So just because someone's doing it in your market doesn't mean they're doing it right. So
love that. I want to bookmark kind of like what it's like to work with you and best ways to kind of optimize TV ads and kind of what that whole thing looks like. Let's go through, kind of like your top 5 for a podcast presentation, best things about TV ads, and then bookmark what it's like to work with you and like that example that you gave with other company that you saw.
Yeah. So to finish the points, I talked about ROI, high ROI. The fourth big benefit is return on time. We already talked about that. It doesn't take a lot of time once you get your stuff set up. And honestly, we do a lot of the work for you in our program. So I'll kind of tell you about that here in a minute. Cool. And then, I mean, actually, I think we touched on all of them. High quality leads. I mean, if someone is calling you from TV, time to pick up the phone and go to you as opposed to you texting them or calling them. I mean, it's just the tire kickers, you're going to have some of that, but it's not going to be nearly what some of those other marketing methods are. So I've got so many other benefits that I kind of touched on with private money and contractors treating you different, all that kind of stuff. But I think you guys are kind of getting the point with how TV is really good. So working with us, we have, and I don't have true stats on this, but I kind of know what the success rate for most programs are out there. In fact, the guy that I told you that we helped, he made over 100 grand his first couple months. He had tried like 2 or 3 other programs and really didn't do much with it or didn't get very far with it. And then ours we implemented for him, and he was getting success right away. And I think that's part of our success is us doing it for them. So you know this, like, you have 100 people buy a program, there's probably going to be 1 to 2 that actually have success with it, either because they didn't do it or they didn't do it right, or, that kind of thing. Right. So with us, we're having about, And the success rate I use is I'm pretty impatient and I like results right away. So when I say success rate for us, it's, are we getting them a return on their money within like 30 to 60 days, right? So 70% of the people that are in our program are making money. And when I say money, it's not just like, I mean, yeah, some of it is like 1 to 2x return, but a lot of guys are making 5 to 10 to 15 to 20x on their money like right away. And again, a lot of that's because of the formula and the implementation. So working with us, it's not just, hey, here's my formula, here's what I do, go read it and then go do it yourself. It's okay, I'm going to show you how we did it, I'm going to show you the metrics, I'm going to show you the tracking, I'm going to give you the scripts, I'm going to show you where we buy ads, what has been most successful. But on top of that, my media buyer that helped me 9 years ago get on TV, I partnered with him, and he actually goes to bat for you at the stations, calls them, because that's like, so you mentioned radio. When people try to go do radio, they try and negotiate with the stations themselves. And they said it's so hard, and like you don't know who to trust, and they're trying to sell you the most expensive stuff. And I've even heard that with TV, where we've gotten multiple people on TV within 30 to 45 days where they tried calling stations for months and they were telling them it was 15 to 20 grand just for one station. Whereas, our guy can go to bat for you, make the phone calls, negotiate the best rates. The cheap stuff works, so we go after the cheap stuff. And that same 15 to 20 grand that they quoted for one station, we can get on. We've gotten on 4 stations for 8 grand a month or less, because we know it works and we can negotiate well. And my guy knows what he's doing. He's been doing media over 20 years now. And then we do the production too. So we give you the scripts, we do the production, we do the ad buying. So literally, all you have to do is go in and shoot the commercial, and then give us the web domain and vanity number and that kind of stuff. But we're doing a lot of the implementation for you. And that's why our success rate, I think, is so high. And that's why it's going gangbusters right now. And on top of that, a lot of marketing channels are just way too competitive, right? So like people are taking their money that they were using towards direct mail that's not working as well, or efforts towards texting and cold calling, and putting into things like TV that are a lot more automated and easier to do.
Very cool. The link to check out Tony's program is in the show notes, realestatemasters.tv.com. That sounds awesome as far as like, the media, your media staff going to bat for you as far as negotiating. You're 100% on the money with radio people that I've interviewed. Chris Arnold over at Wholesaling Inc., for example, is saying a lot of it is the negotiation with, getting the ads at a discounted price, similar to what everybody's trying to do with getting discounted properties here. So it's interesting to hear. And I felt it was pretty comparable, TV ads and radio ads.
Yeah, Chris is actually the one that talked me into doing this program. He's like, my guys
are
having really good success on radio. He's like, you're the only guy that I know that does TV, and you've been doing it about as long as I have, or I think almost the exact same time frame. He's been doing radio 9 years. I've been doing TV 9 years. So he's like, develop a program, man. I think we can crush it. And so we launched it, and the success rate's been unbelievable, and it's blown me away, and having a lot of fun with it.
Love it, man. Well, Tony, it has been a pleasure talking to you, man. Do you have any final last words here to put a bow on this thing?
No, I just think I love what you guys are doing over there. I think 80-20, the name that you guys put on there is awesome, because, a lot of people do, the 80% stuff that produces 20% of the results. But if you can figure out that 20% that brings the 80% back to you, the leverage on that is amazing. So I love what you guys are doing there, teaching that, and, automation and that kind of thing. So kudos to you guys for pushing that and promoting that, because, a lot of real estate investors do things the hard way, which, like I said, I did the first 10 years, and I realized that I was just doing a lot of the wrong things. And once I turned it and figured out how to find people to do the things that were not producing results or that I didn't love to do, and, got them to do those things where I could go and I could do the things that were more important and that I love to do, it just completely changed the game and changed my life. So love what you guys are doing there, and I appreciate you having me on the show.
Appreciate it, man. Love it. Check out realestatemasters.tv.com. Is there a best place to follow you on social or anything, Tony?
Yeah, I'm not
Facebook, Instagram?
not big on Instagram, but Real Tony Javier is where you can find me there if you'd like to. We do a little bit there, but not a lot. But I think going to that website would probably be the best to reach out. And our we do have market semi-market exclusivity, so we only do so many spots per market. So if you want to go there and apply and see if you'd be a good fit for the program, and also if your market's available, love to chat with you.
Awesome. Tony, man, appreciate you. Thank you guys for listening. Hope you enjoyed Tony talking about his 20-year career. He's kind of like a Kobe Bryant, or hopefully this isn't too offensive, a Tom Brady, a nice 20-year career, kind of the first 10 years and the back 10 years he's in now. So very, very cool to hear the interview. Love the vision board stuff as well. Super inspiring. I love to hear all that.
Yeah, thanks, man. Appreciate you, bud.
Yeah, man. Likewise.